much, Master of the Ceremonies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In these sessions, we will listen to three important papers from our guest speakers. Before I proceed further, I would like to provide you brief information about the speaker of today's sessions. Let me start with Professor Dato, Dr. Omar, who is on my right-hand side. Professor Dato Omar is Vice Chancellor of University Science Malaysia, which is USM. He holds a PhD in project management from Tawat University, United Kingdom. He has very vast experience in different fields. The second speaker, next to Professor Dato, Dr. Omar, is Dr. Mohamad Nasran bin Mohamad. Professor Mohamad Nasran is a professor at Department of Sharia, Faculty of Islamic Study, National University of Malaysia, or University Kebangsaan Malaysia. Associate Professor Dr. Ibrahim is an associate professor at Department of Sharia, Faculty of Islamic Studies, National University of Malaysia. That's his co-authors, which is not here. The next speaker is Professor Habib Ahmed, on my left-hand side. He is the Subject Chair in Islamic Law and Finance at School of Government and International Affairs, Durham University, United Kingdom. He was manager at Research and Development at Islamic Development Bank Group. He also taught at the University of Connecticut, USA, National University of Singapore, and University of Bahrain. And I myself, my name is Tawat Nuiphom. I'm a lecturer at College of Islamic Studies, Prince of Songkran University, and also a PhD student at Durham University, United Kingdom. Dear speakers, I would like to thank you for joining us in the conference today. And I would like to remind all of you that you have 15 minutes to present your paper. I will remind you, when the time approaches. A Q&A sessions will be done toward the end of the sessions. Ladies and gentlemen, the first speaker in these sessions is Professor Dr. Dato.Omar Osman. His paper is on Pilarising Islam in Transdisciplinary Islamic Studies. Please join me to welcome Professor Dato.Omar Osman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah bil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Before I begin my paper, let me first and foremost wish the second international conference in Islamic Studies, theme Islamic Studies in a Changing World, Challenges and Opportunities, the best of the endeavors, and hopefully the results and discussions here will propel the Islamic Studies in a betterment for the Islamic world. And I would like to congratulate and thank the College of Islamic Studies, Prince of Songkran Universities, for inviting me to present the paper here. I come from a university comprehensive in nature, a research university in intensiveness, and a university which is called the Apex University in Malaysia. We have 30,000 students, 10,000 of which are postgraduates, and we have 10,000 staff and 5 campuses. The discipline of Islamic studies in University Science Malaysia has not been given a prominent and prime feature in its many efforts. It is my duty as a Muslim to propagate this effort so that we can begin pilarizing Islam and Islamic studies in a transdisciplinary nature in University Science Malaysia. We therefore offer a lot of programs in USM, and many of which also are related to Islam and Islamic studies, for example, from the School of Physics and from the School of Social Science. Notably now we have Islamic Development Management Program at the postgraduate level, supported by those in pure sciences, industrial technology, biology, computer, mathematics, chemistry, and social science. It is my opinion that Islamic studies have gone beyond the confinement of pure Islamic studies. It has also now become a transdisciplinary field. And also, apart from the pure Islamic studies, in our university, we now begin to move into areas that involve Islamic studies in the areas that I've said so. My slides will present to you that currently we appear to be reducing Islam in many of the transdisciplinary Islamic studies. And that pilarization process, or process that brings these issues to the mainstay of any educational institutions, need to be undertaken. I present to you 5 grounds in pilarizing Islamicity in transdisciplinary Islamic studies. First, it shall be based upon the worldview of Islam. It shall begin with a definition of concepts, or more rightly, redefinition of it. There must be, as also been said in the previous paper, a reconstruction of Islamic research methodology and based upon Islamic system, which then move towards making Islam and Islamic society relevant in the future. The maintenance and the contrastation of Islamic worldview and Islamicity in Islamic studies, as I said, lie in the 5 grounds. In this Islamic worldview, or tasawwur, it is developed from the epistemology of Islam, from Al-Quran and Hadith, and need to become the framework of the transdisciplinary Islamic studies. The pillar of Islamic worldview, that is Allah, the Creator, while human and resources are His creations, have to be embedded within the transdisciplinary Islamic studies. Islamic studies that evolve from a mixture of Islamic and un-Islamic worldview, moreover, from purely an un-Islamic worldview, could not be regarded as pure Islamic studies. And I've summarized this in very graphical form so that it can capture the imagination of many. And I believe many of the speakers have already said that what I am doing is re-emphasizing it in a more classified manner. Secondly, there must be a redefinition of the concepts. The concept that is used in transdisciplinary Islamic studies are really from Western ethos-centric concept, very much quantitative in nature. And therefore, we have got to move to redefine it from the Islamic perspective. Poverty, for instance, could not be defined from merely quantitative account. It has to include qualitative and spiritual elements. Hence, the constructing of an Islamic definition of poverty, distinctive from the conventional definition, need to be done. The other concepts, such as justice, customer behavior, corporate social responsibility, and others, remain to be explored. And this is the realm that we need to move from the conventional definitions of Western ethnocentricity to the Islamic perspective will have to begin so with earnest. Third, the Islamic research methodology. The Islamic research methodology is used in transdisciplinary Islamic studies and still is based on conventional research methodology. We really need to move into the IRM, and the former process possesses adequate tools of analysis encompassing a holistic aspect of subject research, including the most important thing, the intangibles, the values, the culture embedded within it, the spiritual things that is embedded in the various philosophy, as opposed to the latter, which suffers from insufficient tools developed by humankind, suffers from many of those that is within the scientific inquiries that is being developed and further developed. And this can endanger even Muslim Aqidah with many of the value-free stance that we see today. Construction of Islamic research methodology has yet to become a serious endeavor, and I call upon all Islamic scholars to move into this seriously, strategically. Wisdom and experience need to be there. And through many of the work that is being done, for example, everywhere, including one that is being done in our university, this can be a concerted effort to actually look at the pure, redefined Islamic research methodology, not based upon Western ethnicity. The fourth, that is the Islamic system. A transdisciplinary Islamic society system needs a redefinition of concept and the adoption of the Islamic study that is not ingrained within an Islamic worldview and does not redefine the concept, but does not adopt an Islamic research methodology would not end up in establishing an Islamic society. We need to move through a new one, and establishment of Islamic society should be the aim of this transdisciplinary Islamic studies, not merely for job seekers alone. We have to make sure a transdisciplinary Islamic studies begin to develop an Islamic society that will be useful to us through an Islamic system. For instance, let me tell you, zakat and wakaf have been said to be able to alleviate poverty. But its concept and theoretical framework of poverty themselves have not been defined in the real and from the real Islamic perspective. The definition that we have been using are Western, ethnocentric in nature. These need to be reconstructed. The real issues of poverty is not in the material povertiness, but in the poverty of the values and the essence of the Islamic knowledge that should be developed together in elevating the poor material issues in a community or individual that is poor. Many of those that we do now is to elevate the material aspects of poverty, living the values, the Islamic values that is very necessary to actually make this soul richer in essence, adopting the Islamic principle of life. Therefore, as I said, we still are entrenched in a Western ethnocentric concept, trying to solve Islamic problems. And this change in mindset need to begin fast. And therefore, issues like zakat and wakaf are still based on return of investment, profit-oriented, and based upon the well-known capitalist system instead of the real Islamic system. I call upon all Muslim brothers to look through so that we can now begin to see a transdisciplinary Islamic studies aim for the construction of the future of Islamic society through three main things. They define the Islamic concepts of Islamic studies in a transdisciplinary nature, look at the Islamic worldview, and focus on redefinition of Islamic research methodology, moving away from the Western ethnocentricity. Dear brothers, in Islam, that's all that I have to do. And in conclusion, in globalization area, Islamic studies should not be confined itself to pure Islamic studies anymore. It has to relate itself to current socio-economic and political realities, and hence establishing a sort of a newly transdisciplinary fields in Islamic research and Islamic societies will be there. And I propose 5 grounds to be taken into account. That is Islamic worldview, concepts, research methodology, system, moving towards us living in a real Islamic society. That's all. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih kepada Professor Dato Omar. Thank you very much for giving us a very important aspect of Islamic studies that we need to strive towards the Islamic society. So now, I would like to call upon Professor Dr. Mohamad Nasran, who is going to discuss about how are we going to market our Islamic study graduates to the real world. So please welcome Professor Mohamad Nasran.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank to the organizer, especially to Prince of Songkla University, for inviting me for the second time on this stage to present my paper. And my paper entitled Marketing Graduates of Islamic Studies, the experiences of the National University of Malaysia. For my introduction, I would like to say that historically, the idea to have a university in Malaya using the Malay as its medium of instruction, and its students were the Malays who completed their studies in the Malay secondary schools, was advocated by some of the Malay directors, thinkers, and intellectuals during the British colonial rules in Malaya at that time. Among them was Zainal Abidin Ahmad, and later on as Pendeta Zaban and Abdul Qadir Adabi. Unfortunately, due to political, economic, and social obstacles, the idea came to nothing during the British rule in Malaya. On May 18, 1970, the UKM was opened with 3 faculties: Faculty of Sciences, Faculty of Arts, and Faculty of Islamic Studies. And it now has 13 faculties, a graduate school of business, and 16 research institutes of excellence in education. Since the 70s, the UKM has experienced many phases of its historical development and achievement. The history of UKM is classified into 5 distinctive phases. Namely, in 1970s was the decade of its birth and struggle to face the challenges in order to provide the proper recognized place for the beloved national language, the Malay. It was light of hope for Malaysian nations. And then the 1980s was a decade of development, moving forward based on the national unity and the development of national identity. The 1990s was the decade of maturity, creating successes aiming toward achieving the national goals. From 2000 to 2005 was the era for promoting excellences internationally and building the excellence for the future. The era of recognition, inspiring futures and nurturing possibilities and elasticity in knowledge and innovation was from 2006 until the present, 2013, not 2005. And then the UKM also has introduced its transformation plan to propel UKM to be one of the leading research universities in the world by 2018, and consolidating its unique role as a national university in promoting national identity and unity. And then the UKM has accepted the 4 major roles of universities since its establishment in May 1970 as an ideological apparatus to the Malays and Malaysians, as selections and socialization mechanisms of dominant elites, as knowledge and skill generation, and as is a training institution for knowledgeable and skilled labor forces for Malaysian societies and other societies through the graduates produced by UKM every year. For example, in our 40th convocation held for the 3 days from 20th to 23rd October last year, the UKM produced 7,551 graduates consisted of 384 doctoral degrees, 2,064 master degrees, 185 master degrees in medicine and dentistry, and nearly 5,000 degrees and 99 graduates in diplomas. Out of 384 doctoral graduates from UKM, 30 of them were from my faculty, Faculty of Islamic Studies, and out of the 2,064 master graduates, 93 of them came from the Faculty of Islamic Studies, and out of the 4,629 bachelor graduates, 764 of them came from the Faculty of Islamic Studies. And we strongly believe that the UKM and Faculty of Islamic Studies are able to offer the job markets for our graduates because of their intrinsic and extrinsic factors. The intrinsic factors are the most essential factors since without them, the UKM and the Faculty of Islamic Studies cannot exist. These include the students, academicians, curriculums, courses, funding, and physical facilities, whereas the extrinsic factors are the essential factors assisting of supporting the intrinsic factors, supporting the extrinsic factors. These include recognitions and approvals by the external bodies and institutions of the UKM and Faculty of Islamic Studies. Okay, first we look at the first intrinsic factors, the qualified students of UKM and Faculty of Islamic Studies as well. The students of UKM and Faculty of Islamic Studies have to fulfill the selection criteria before they are admitted to the university and the faculty. For the bachelor program of Islamic Studies with honors, there are 3 categories of students considered eligible to apply for the admission. The first category is the holders of the highest national secondary school certificate in Malaysia named Sijil Tinggi Persekolahan Malaysia or Malaysian High School Certificate. The second category is the holder of the highest Arabic and Islamic secondary school certificates named in Malay Sijil Tinggi Agama Malaysia STAM or Malaysian High Religious Certificate. And the third category is the holders of diplomas related to the Islamic studies. All these categories of candidates must pass the Malay language in the examinations for the SPM or Malaysian Education Certificate. And then the qualified experience of academicians, the minimum requirement to become the academician of UKM was used to be the master's degree holders. However, after the UKM recognized as one of the 5 research universities in Malaysia in October 2006. The minimum requirement to become the academicians of UKM, as well as Faculty of Islamic Studies, is the PhD holder. And then without PhD qualification, you are not qualified to become lecturer. And next, the academic programs of my faculty, Faculty of Islamic Studies, there are 3 academic programs offered by our faculty. The first one is the undergraduate program, and its graduates are the holders of bachelor degrees, named Bachelor of Islamic Studies. The second academic program is the graduate program of the master degrees, named Master of Islamic Studies, and then the third program is the graduate program for the doctoral degrees. We name it as Doctor of Philosophy. The study done at the perception of the undergraduate students towards the program learning outcome of Faculty of Islamic Studies show that 100% of respondents are at good to excellence levels in terms of HP, hasil pembelajaran. 8. The awareness of the importance of in-depth knowledge and lifelong learning. The same study has also demonstrated that the good perception of the undergraduate students to other HPs of our faculty. So HP means program outcome. For the undergraduate program, our faculty has 9 POs for its students to become the graduates of Faculty of Islamic Studies. And then the financial physical facilities of our faculty, as one of the public universities, the funding of the UKM and also other higher institution of public higher institution in Malaysia come from our government, and the UKM has received the sufficient annual budget every year. And the UKM also has many buildings for its many faculties, and my faculty also has our own buildings. And next, the extrinsic factors for marketing Islamic studies. The intrinsic factors include the recognition and approvals by the external bodies and institutions to the UKM and the Faculty of Islamic Studies, and the status of Islam in Malaysia. The recognition, the recognition and approvals for the UKM. According to UKM official website, UKM was appointed as one of the 4 research universities of Malaysia in 2006. Now we have 5 research universities. Based on its excellent record and in research for 40 years, in the same years, the UKM received the Prime Minister Award 2006, a recognition of its excellent achievement in the academic and management fields. In January 2012, the UKM has been conferred the status of an autonomous university. The UKM has been ranked to 3% university in the world for the university ranking and recognition in Asia. The UKM is among the top 70. This is the great success for the UKM as a young university below 50 years old. And according to QS ranking for the young universities below 15 years old, the UKM is at 31 in the world and the only university from Malaysia. And finally, the status of Islam in Malaysia, as we know that the Federal Constitution of Malaysia has stated that the status of Islam in comparison with other religion in Malaysia, the Article 3 in bracket 1, Islam is the religion of the Federation, but other religions may be practiced in peace and harmony in any part of the Federation. So with the recognized and legal status of Islam in the Federal Constitution of Malaysia, it provides the government of Malaysia to recruit the graduates of Islamic studies to become the public servants as teachers as well as officers in the federal departments and ministries. There are Islamic religious departments and institutions in the federal and state levels in Malaysia, and they all open the jobs to the graduates of Islamic studies. And to sum up, with the existence of the intrinsic and extrinsic factors presented in this paper, these factors greatly contribute to finding employments or jobs for the graduates of UKM, including the graduates of Faculty of Islamic Studies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Mohamad Nasran, for giving us a brief overview of Faculty of Islamic Studies at the National University of Malaysia. So now, we talk about the concept of Islamic studies, the aspect of Islamic studies by the first presenter, and then we come about the second presenter has given us what are the opportunities open to students or graduates of Islamic studies. So the next presenter will go further into the postgraduate degree of Islamic study. One of the most important aspects of the master and PhD in Islamic studies is related to research. So how are we going to do the research? Use Islamic study as a research-led programs. So Professor Habib Ahmed is going to propose to you about research-led Islamic studies. Could join me to welcome Professor Habib Ahmed.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. Again, like others, I want to thank the organizers of this event, Prince of Sokla University, for inviting me here and giving this opportunity to visit Thailand for the first time, actually. So I really want to thank them for that, and also for organizing this very important and interesting event. As mentioned, my topic is research-linked education in Islamic studies. This is in some ways a little bit different than most of the presentations until now, which focused on the content. My presentation does not focus on the content. It will touch on it, but it is more on how to link research and education. So the presentation has two parts. The first part will provide the framework of linking research and education and provide with the concepts and approaches. And in the second part, I will try to use these concepts to show how research can be linked to teaching at the postgraduate level. And I'll provide an example of how we do this at Durham University in UK at the master's level. Just starting with the concepts, we know that universities are institutions of higher learning, so most of my talk is about the postgraduate program here. I'm not talking even about the bachelor's degree. And when we talk about learning, it includes two parts. It includes teaching, which basically is transmission of knowledge, existing and actually new knowledge, and also research, which is the creation of new knowledge. So the question is, how does these two activities, research and teaching, link with each other? Usually when we talk about research and teaching, we talk about these things separately. But now there's a new discourse in a lot of Western universities where they're talking about research-linked education, basically to link research to education and also to link research to solving contemporary problems and then delivering this knowledge to the students. So to understand this research-linked education, I'll very quickly go over some concepts of knowledge and research. The first is to classify different types of knowledge and research, and the very well-known classification is between basic, applied, and commercial research. The other classification of knowledge is between Mode 1 and Mode 2. And I think this is important for Islamic studies. The Mode 1 knowledge is basically discipline-based research and education, where, for example, if you have a discipline, for example, if it is physics, you just teach physics and do research on physics. That is in some ways the traditional form of research and education. There is a new mode called, during contemporary time, the Mode 2 form of research, which is interdisciplinary, and it actually is very similar to what was mentioned by Dato, Dr. Omar, in terms of interdisciplinary research. And it is not only that the research is interdisciplinary, it is also that you do research with the academics and the people in the field. So it's a research which is a product of scholars and also practitioners who are actually in the field. So this is the kind of new research which is the Mode 2 kind of research. Then when we talk about research-led teaching, it is also important to know or to say, to understand that this knowledge, new knowledge created is useful. And in a lot of Western universities, we're talking about what is the impact of research, because a lot of research actually doesn't have impact. You're producing a lot of articles which are not affecting any individuals or organizations or even the government. So the usefulness of the research in terms of its impact on the society is also very important. Moving on to how do we link research and training. To understand that, we just need to look at different perspectives of research and training. The first is when we're talking about teaching, what is the relationship between teacher and the student? Whether the students are just participants listening to lectures, absorbing the knowledge, or they actually are an audience, whether they're an audience just receiving the lecture, or they are participants in the process of this teaching. So this is an important distinction. What is the role of teachers, whether they participate in the knowledge delivered and discussed, or they are just receiving the knowledge. The other is the content of the knowledge itself. Whether you are, the teacher is providing existing old knowledge or providing new knowledge created through research. So when we talk about the new knowledge, there are two things which come up. One is the research content itself, the new research with a professor or teacher does research and then delivers it to the students. The other relates to the research processes, and this is the research methodology, which again, Dr. Omar had mentioned in his presentation. Now, given these two aspects in terms of whether the students are audience or students are participants, this is the one aspect of research teaching nexus. And the other is whether the focus is on research content or research processes, how knowledge is created itself. If given this thing, we can come up with a research teaching nexus. And there's a paper by Haley in 2005. He has talked about different types of links between research and teaching. He talks about research-led teaching, which is basically where a professor or a teacher, a lecturer, teaches the students his own research, the new research he has done, and delivers it to the students. Here, the student just receives it as an audience. The same thing can be done where the students participate. And this is the research-tutored form of education where learning is focused on students writing and discussing essays and papers on new research. Then we have research-oriented education where the focus is on research processes, the methodology of creating new knowledge. And it can be, again, done as students just receiving it, which is research-oriented, or research-based research where students actively participate in some project. And in the process, they create new knowledge. Now, it is important to know that when we look at these different types of linkages between research and teaching, it really depends on the context. Not everything can be used in delivering programs and modules or courses. So it will depend on the level of study. For example, you can use the research-linked teaching more in postgraduate degrees, master's and PhD, rather than undergraduate teaching. It also depends on the discipline, the basic and the principles, modules and courses. These will not be research, cannot be research linked. You have to deliver the existing knowledge to the students. So advanced courses have more opportunities of providing this research linked teaching. And finally, the teaching philosophy itself in terms of whether the student should be just an audience listening to the lecturer and just getting the knowledge, or student should participate actively, and you teach the student how to basically learn new stuff. So it depends on the teaching philosophy itself. Now, as an example, I will give a case of Islamic studies in, but before that, just to give a perspective, when we talk about linking research and education, it can be looked at different levels. You can look at it at the program level itself. For example, if you have a master's program, we're talking about that program, how you distribute the different sections of that program, whether you have a methodology chapter, the courses, whether it will include modules or courses which delivers new material, and whether, for example, at the master's level you have a dissertation or not. At the module level or the course level, it depends on the content, whether new issues are delivered. The other issue, of course, is about the research methodology itself. And again, at the assessment level, we can see in terms of exams, which basically tests the knowledge of students, or asking students to write essays where they basically write short research papers. So we can see that the link between research and teaching can be done within a program in different ways. Now I go to use this framework to talk about how we can use this framework for Islamic studies. I have 5 minutes left, so I'll go over very quickly. Now, when we talk about Islamic studies teachings, we can broadly classify it into 4 categories. Two relates to belief and ethics, the Aqidah, and which basically about faith and belief, the Akhlaq, which about ethics and moralities. And then we have the second classification in terms of practices and laws. Here we talk about ibadat and the muamalat. Now, when we talk about linking research and teaching, we look at these 4 broad categories. We see that in some cases we can use new research into the programs, but in other cases we cannot. For example, when it comes to Aqidah, we of course have to provide the past knowledge, the foundational knowledge which exists already. There is no scope of new knowledge when it comes to Aqidah and ibadat. The knowledge is given, and we have to use this and teach it to the students. But when it comes to Akhlaq and muamalat, there we have scope for interpreting the ethics and laws for contemporary times. And this is where new research is needed. For example, if you're talking about Islamic banking and finance, we're talking about how the Islamic commercial law can be used during contemporary times. And what I'm going to do in the next 2 or 3 minutes is just show you quickly the Durham University Islamic Finance Program. The MSc, it is basically a 120 credit hour program. Of this 120, 60 credits must be comes from a dissertation, which is basically equivalent to 4 modules. So you see the dissertation, there's a very much research-based kind of output. And when it comes to the different courses, we have 4 Islamic courses that provides the Islamic orientation. Students have to take some conventional courses, mainly in finance, banking, and they also have to take a research methodology course. I'll skip the next 2 slides and go to conclusion. The main thing which we see from this presentation is that there are different ways in which research and training can be linked to each other. When it comes to Islamic studies, we see that it really depends. At the postgraduate level, we can link research to teaching, and also it cannot be used in everything. It can be mainly used for in studies related to muamalat. And the other thing which is that which is important in research-linked teaching is that there has to be emphasis on research. If lecturers and professors, they do not produce their research, it is very difficult to have research-linked education. So precondition for research-linked teaching is basically that the professors and lecturers, they must be research active. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Habib Ahmed. So throughout the presentations and these sessions, you realize that we have proposed that the content of Islamic studies itself should be, it should include all the Islamic concepts that can be redefined. And then Professor Habib Ahmed proposed to use a research mechanism in Islamic study. And Professor Mohamad Nasran, shows how we can market the graduate of Islamic studies to the contemporary market of society, so that the graduates of Islamic study can fulfill the need of the Ummah and can improve the betterment of well-being of the mankind. So now I would like to have Q&A questions, or maybe you can comment if you like. And you can use the microphone available there in the middle and another one over there. But please, could you identify yourself, from which institutions you are, and then ask very precise questions. I would allow maybe 3 or 4 questions. That's because due to the time constraints that we have here. So I would open the floor for the questions and comments, please. Yes, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Muzakid from IIUM. My question go to Prof. Dato. Omar Osman. So, in ISI journal, there is the limited about the research in Islamic studies. So, my question is, how can we encourage Muslim researchers to conduct the research in Islamic study? Thank you very much.
Professor Omar, I think, would you like to respond to the questions, please?
I go back to my note that we are still thinking Western-centric. Can we forget about Western-centric and build upon the Islamic knowledge ourselves? Don't depend on the Western way of looking at ISI journals and whatever. But I think the most important thing is that research, as has been presented by Brother Habib, is about making it relevant and useful to the Ummah. Research needs to backtrack to academic or teaching. Research needs to build the soul of the future Ummah. While we're doing that, if there is a critical mass of researchers in areas of transdisciplinary work in Islamic studies, Islamic societies, and the relevance of knowledge to the Islamic world, the ISI will come chasing after you and not the other way around. Don't chase ISI, my dear brothers in Islam. That is Western philosophy and Western way of doing things. Why are we looking at the other side? We should believe in ourselves. We are a Muslim. We are born and bred as a Muslim. Alhamdulillah. And there are brothers who most and embrace Islam, build upon it. And I call upon all brothers. we should meet more everywhere in the world. Propagate research, propagate the building of capacity of those in the contemporary knowledge, move them into the Islamic research and Islamic knowledge. What is it for? Is to build the future ummah, for which ummah? The whole of the world. Not about those that we teach in Islam, not about those that are Muslim. We should embrace Islam as a modality of the future of the Muslim world and the future of the world. And we should actually begin very simple, as my brother has indicated. The essence of coming into a university is based on academic Western system. It's not based upon the principle of getting in students or even researchers who actually uphold first and foremost the principle of good values. As a vice chancellor, I would like to see that happen in my university. Get in the students that are first and foremost that will say, I will uphold good values. If I'm a Muslim, I will uphold the principles of Islam in the way I do. If I'm not, I will uphold the principle of good moral values. Then only it comes 4 flat, CGPA 3.5 or whatever. I think we have to reverse the thinking. The thinking has to be that, and I call upon that for this in Islamic studies. The conclusion or the declaration of this conference has to be that we are here to build the future of good ummah. Nothing less. And that is most important. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Omar. Is there any other questions or comments? Yes, please.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Abdul Khalik from Y Channel. This is Satellite TV here, Muslim TV. So I have to ask one question from Professor Dr. Mohamad Nasran. As you clarify or give some detail about your university, about Islamic study for UKM, right? But here in Thailand, some students who graduate from high school who study about Islamic, and also some graduate from university who study Islamic, there's a problem about the occupation. What are they doing next? Some in Thai very concerned about when they graduate from Islamic study, they have nothing to do, only teachers, or not the other occupation. Some Thai government concerned about it. So could you show me some example from Malaysia side? What are they doing? Because you said your university get the good level in the world. Jazakallah khair.
Okay, thank you. What I am trying to say that is based on our experience in University of Kebangsaan Malaysia, or the National University of Malaysia, that our students graduated from our university. The jobs are there, not only in the field of government sectors or federal or state levels, but also they have to find their jobs in other way, like entrepreneurships and so on. And at this point, our faculty also offers entrepreneurship programs for our students in order to prepare them not only to enable them to work for the governments, but for the private sectors. And I know in Thailand, there are many graduates from Islamic studies, such as in PSU, but I cannot comment what they should do after their graduation. Maybe as teachers or also as a business expert. Thank you.
Can I suggest that what has been done in UKM, also in some other universities in Malaysia. If the students do a double major or a major minor program in other areas apart from Islamic studies, and that could easily be done if a university allow, for example, doing Islamic studies and management, or Islamic studies and entrepreneurship, or Islamic studies and science, for example. So they will have a better round of knowledge together. To expect a university to go into a wholesome education may not be so easy. So a double major or a major minor program, or even a double degree, but may be more difficult. But the easier one is to encourage more of the Islamic studies students to take more programs outside the pure Islamic studies.
Okay, thank you very much. I will allow another 2 questions. Yeah, please, brother from there.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Aris Hasama from Yala Islamic University. My question is go to Professor Dr. Habib Ahmed. I thank you for your presentation that give the light for researcher and the teacher in here, that we eradicate the gap between the theory and the reality in Islamic finance. My question is, everyone know that Islamic finance is, there are so many players, such as the bankers, the academic, the fuqaha, the researcher, so many players that work in that field. The problem is they work in their field only, not work together. So can you please suggest us that how to make them work together to solve the problem in the Islamic finance, which is now is the most important in both in contemporary and the Islamic study. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Actually, if you remember, I had a slide on Mode 2 kind of knowledge, and I think Islamic finance very well fits into this Mode 2 type of knowledge, which basically means that the knowledge created in Islamic finance would require input from different disciplines. You need to know banking, you need to know Sharia, of course, fiqhul muamalat, and of course you also need to know the laws of the country where a bank is operating. So it is basically you have to know 3 disciplines to teach Islamic finance modules. And that makes it more challenging. And that's one of the reasons that we, for example, at Durham, and I know this is the case in a lot of places, it is very difficult to get people who can teach Islamic banking and finance at the universities, because you need these different skills. Because of the newness of the industry, there are a lot of people working in the industry. From the industry, we see that they have the experience, they have the knowledge, but this knowledge is not being codified and put into books where the students can use them. And this is a challenge which we have to face. Now, personally, I would say I was lucky that before I went to Durham University, I worked with a bank and I was with Islamic Development Bank. So I have some exposure to the dealings. But this is, as I said, not the case with most of professors. They have teaching jobs. And one of the criticisms we see when it comes to Islamic finance is that we teach students things which they really cannot apply in real life. And that becomes a problem. So this usefulness of knowledge is very important, that we teach them things which they can go and use in real life. So the answer to your question is not that simple. I mean, it's pretty, and probably that's why it is more challenging, and we need to put more input and research into these issues.
Thank you, Professor Habib. I will request for another question. The last question, please. Yes, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Trimizi. I'm from IUM, but I'm a Thai. My question is can be answered by any one of you. Regarding the research as you all have presented, the current situation in nowadays, we have a lot of research have been done, whether in Islamic field or in conventional fields. Okay, we're focusing on the Islamic research. Not a few research has been. It's a lot of researchers have been struggling and trying to make findings in Islamic research. But the problem, especially in Thailand, is that the voice or the findings is not to be heard in the level of policy making. So, according to your point of view, what can be the suggestion or recommendation to those who are in authority to make this research to be heard in this level of the authority or the policy making? Thank you. Barakallah fiqh.
Thank you. Any of you can, any of the speakers can share. Yes. Professor Habib Ahmed.
I think when it comes to research and its impact, we can look at different levels. Some research may be relevant if we're talking about banking, for example, to banking, the banks themselves, how to come up with models which they can use. The thing which you mentioned, it relates more to policy. And when you're talking about policies and, for example, again, giving the example of Islamic finance, we need banking regulations, banking laws. We as researchers can come up with the models of these regulations and laws. But whether a country adopts it or not, it depends on the political will. And that is not in the control of academics. Now, just giving you some examples. For example, in Malaysia, the government has political will. It has implemented laws, regulations to support the industry. In Thailand, interestingly, you have Islamic banking law. And in a lot of Muslim countries, there are no Islamic banking laws. And this is because in those Muslim countries, will to introduce these banking laws. So I think academics have their range of work and activities. And then when it comes to laws and implementation of these ideas, there's different levels which we have to consider. Thank you.
Professor Dr.Omar, please.
Okay, I'll just go to a very practical thing that we are doing in Malaysia. University of Science Malaysia has been chosen to head the program called the Knowledge Transfer Program for all universities in Malaysia. The Knowledge Transfer Program comes with the concept of transferring research knowledge to benefit of industry and society. We have currently 150 projects that have been rolled out, approved by the government, that is jointly funded by the government and the private sector. We are currently going on the third rolling plan, the third year in running. I think this year we'll have another probably close to 100 100 knowledge transfer programs in all areas undertaken by 20 universities. They have to go into competitive bidding to get accepted as programs coming out from research that is useful to the community or industry, such as what Professor Habib has said. It involves areas that is capacity building, transferring of technology, including economic well-being to the community. There definitely are avenues for researchers who are active. And therefore, the word is the usefulness of your research will have to be defined when you are starting your research. It may be policy directed. It may be research tracking back directed for future research. Or it may be for commercialization. And the new field that we are working now is called the knowledge transfer, which is beyond commercialization. Doing it for the benefit of community, doing it for the benefit of industry, particularly small entrepreneurship. That is what Malaysia has embarked upon. Rather than so eccentric to a university or to a society, it goes on a program that will benefit researchers and also graduates that will become part of a modality to transfer knowledge. And that answers some of the issues about graduate employability, because in any essence you will have that. But I call upon that this work on Islamic studies, Islamic graduates, and Islamic research will have to also take into account of what the national agenda is doing. And therefore, you become relevant in the whole national agenda. Thank you very much.
I have a different view based on my experience in UKM, that if we want our research to be heard by the government, I think the best way is to cooperate with them. My experience is we cooperate with Department of Islamic Religious Affairs in the States, and also with JAKIM. And it's, if the case is involved with Aqidah, such as the lost doctrines of Ajaran Sesat, so we propose our research to them. And I would like to say that last 2 weeks, I did one research about, hudud, past hududs. Is it compatible with Islamic law? So I win 50,000 ringgit to make a research whether past hududs is compatible with Islamic law. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I know some of you might have asked a lot of comments, questions, but I'm very sorry. I apologize. I cannot allow any more questions. So we are at the end of these sessions, and I thank you all the speakers. Professor Dr. Omar Osman, from Vice Chancellor of University of Science Malaysia, USM. Professor Dr. Nasran bin Mohamad from the University of National University of Malaysia, UKM, and Professor Habib Ahmed from Durham University, United Kingdom. And last but not least, I would like to thank all the participants who gave attention and passion. Thank you very much. Terima kasih. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.